Tell us a bit about your professional background and experience to date.
So my professional background is I have a degree in computing and IT, and after that I started work as a sort of web programmer, building websites as part of the .com bubble. I took a little bit of a career break at the end of sort of about year 2000, 2001. Did a trip around the world. That was 18 months away, which was lovely. Very good. And started continuing to build websites. And then moved 2004, started working more on database side of things. So the websites we were building always had like a SQL back end to them. And then from about 2004 onwards, joined a company, actually the .NET programmer, which was a business intelligence consultancy. And then we sort of morphed into sort of doing more on the sort of the data technologies, the data warehousing, data marts. We did a lot of projects for BP in sort of in those early 2000s, reporting on all the oil and gas reserves they had, as well as sort of carbon waste, carbon monoxide and other sort of waste products. And they had a system, we built the system whereby they could submit all the data from all the different reporting units and how much the oil wells from all around the world back to a central source where the data was aggregated and presented, and it informed everything. It's essentially their financial forecasts about how much more oil reserves they were going to have. 2006, sort of started to work in Jersey. That was predominantly as RBSI. Moved here 2007. We formed Altius CI around 2008 or thereabouts. And then we grew that, just doing specialist business intelligence or data analytics consulting, and that building out data warehouse platforms for a few of the banks. And then we were acquired by C5 in 2016 and gone on from there, and then from BDO in 2018.
How has failure or apparent failure set you up for later success? Do you have any favourite failures?
Do I have a favourite failure? Yes, I have a favourite failure. 1998, I accidentally shut down all of IBM's European, Middle East, Africa's web presence, and it was a proper heart in the mouth moment. Essentially, imagine this: it's industrial placement year. It's the start of infancy of the internet. Not infancy. It's time to get going. We ran as part of a team which ran all of IBM's sort of EMEA, internet and intranet web presence, and it was all done, all these country sites, so France, UK, Germany, and so on. And I accidentally typed reboot into the wrong AIX window, or the actual command shutdown -R now, and the whole thing went down. And we had an alerting system at the time, which had what to do with pager technologies. And all of a sudden, all the pagers went off. Imagine like the Cube Farm scenario, IBM style building. Imagine all the pagers suddenly went off in one go. At a point, the team lead sort of turns around and goes, "Right, who did what?" Because it's mid-afternoon. And I'm sort of going, "Oh God," going as bright red as anything. And then the team lead, he says, "Yes, everybody do nothing. And then sure enough, he goes, "We're having a disaster recovery test impromptu now." And sure enough, one by one, all the pages started to go off. And then when the last one went off, he sat down and went, "Right, disaster recovery test over. Don't do it again." So, that was the proper learning moment. Learning about sort of AIX. That was Linux style desktops. AIX is IBM's brand of Linux Unix operating systems. Being careful what you do in terms of where you type the word shutdown. I thought I was shutting down in the test server. It wasn't. It was a production one. Potentially not allowing students to have access to real fully live production platforms, but also most important about resilience. The team lead, he was supremely confident it was going to come back up, and he was proved right. I think he had the afternoon off after that actually as well. I think he sort of went home thinking, "My job is done. I'm out of here."
I'm sure he was exhausted by the end of it.
Well, I was only down for like sort of 10, 15 minutes, but it's like you can see, oh,
Yeah.
oh sorry, my phone. That was like, he was pounding.
Sounds like he handled it very well, though.
He did. Resilience was fine. And it didn't even come up on my end of year appraisal. So
That's always good.
so that was good.
You must have learned from it then.
Yes, it's mostly. Resilient systems. How to make sure they automatically recover. How to make sure they automatically come back and they can sort of take care of themselves to a point. And that's important in data world because sometimes you get data feeds come in late. Data feeds come in from sources that, on time schedules you're not expecting. So you need applications and items which load to be self-healing as much as possible. Because then that sort of just improves the resilience, reduces the amount of support you have to give them, and you can have consistent procedures about how to recover from failure, which is good. Failure will happen. You just need to be able to handle it and recover from it and learn from it. And don't do it again.
What is your favourite quote?
I'm going to probably get this slightly wrong. I'm going to sort of paraphrase it slightly, but it's one of the Douglas Adams quotes from, I forget the book. Anyway, it says it's about learning experiences. And it goes something like, you know that thing you just did? Yeah, don't do that. Right, I'll learn from that one.
So learn what not to do.
Learn what not to do, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few others. I mean, there's I'm not a massive one for quotes. There's one, Oscar Wilde's got a lovely quote about everyone's in the gutter, but a few of us are looking at the stars. And that's quite nice about sort of optimism. I quite like that one.
When you were a teenager, what did you want to do for your career?
It was always going to be something to do with computers. And I remember at the time we had a small, or maybe it's even borrowed, an Acorn Electron computer that you'd plug into a TV. And I don't think it even had a disk drive or any way of storing information. But I used to go to the library and get the books and you'd type in basic code on the TV screen, and then it would like draw a caterpillar or something like this. And then you say hours to do it, and then you turn it all off and it goes. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed programming computers to do tasks and do things. So always something to do with computing was what it was going to be. So I enjoyed that side of it.
What do you enjoy most about your role?
What do I enjoy most about my role? From a consultant, the joy of being a consultant is the variety of work. This time next year, I will be doing something completely different. I will be working with a completely different client, a completely set of clients, or new ones, and there'll be new tasks, there'll be new challenges, there'll be new problems to solve. And at this point in time, I don't know what that is. And that's actually really quite exciting in some ways because the variety comes in, it changes. And we're kind of fortunate at the moment that we're sort of dividing our time amongst sort of utilities, amongst financial sectors, amongst sort of products, amongst services, amongst applications, and it's the joy of it, is the variety you get. From a role within the company, the most fun I get is actually seeing the rest of the team do really well. And I've watched how I was really fortunate early on in my career that there were older people who were able to sort of I could turn to and ask questions. There was a guy called Andy Luxton who he must have been, in my first job outside of university, this is after the IBM debacle, he must have got, he had infinite patience because I must have asked questions about coding and JavaScript and VBScript and ASP and sort of SQL all the time to him. And they must have been, Andy, how do you do this? How do you do this? And Andy, how do you do this? And he has infinite patience. And I really benefited from and learned from that. I'm in a lovely position that I thank him for that, but hopefully my turn now to do that with the new people coming through, next generation. So seeing them do well and enjoying themselves that's fun.
Do you get lots of questions from your two junior?
Yes, now and again. Recently I've been asking them questions. So that's actually
there you go.
That's probably because the technology has shifted a bit.
Yeah. I suppose that's also a good part of your role,
is
is technology always changing.
The technology does always change, and you have to sort of keep up with that. My role is more about how the application of it and how it should be used to solve business problems. That's my role has sort of changed over the years now to be more that side. But then there's still that fundamental grounding about how to program, how to build a solid data model, how to build a resilient sort of processes, data load processes. That's still the fundamentals of that haven't changed. The technologies and the flavors and how the actual coding has, and it's got a lot better. And the stuff that we used to hand crank that now is either drag or drop, or indeed is scripted and can be sort of done through configuration rather than actually having to hand code it. And actually it's cheating really, because we used to spend time, but it means you can do more and do it faster. And that's really exciting, because when the data sets get bigger, they can load them faster and more frequently. And that means the data's in more real time. And that's brilliant. And that's exciting to see all that happening, that change.
What do you see as the emerging trends in data and AI for 2023?
So I think there's two trends which started last year, but we're going to start to see maturing more this year. First one is the introduction is more the AI into tooling. People get a little bit confused as to what AI actually is and what it means. And AI from the data world is largely around machine learning, and it's about the machines being able to perform a task either slightly quicker or be able to predict something or classify something faster. And that's starting to be introduced into the sort of the tooling in more ways. So that's sort of helping people to work with data, helping people to see trends and see insights in information. So that used to be a very specialist area. So that being infused in tooling is there to help people work better and help people get value from data. The second trend is a continuation of the theme of AI, well, a continuation of helping people get value from data. In that there's been a concept which has grown over the years of that called the citizen developer. And that we'll see mature. And this is where you tend to get more value from the data, because as data engineers, we can provide great data processes, great data flows within an organization, linking applications together. But people who are going to great data models that people are going to create, but for people to get value out of it, it's the people who use the data on a daily basis who really need to be able to do it. So they will want to be able to ask questions, they want to be able to generate insights. So they need to sort of the ability to work with the information in these models in very effective ways. So the AI infusion hopefully helps them generate new insights, and then they're able to work with the data more easily. But that will also mean they'll sort of start to create their own little models and their own little areas. And as long as there's a solid grounding of what we've done beforehand, then I can see it working very nicely in tandem, and then people will be able to sort of get more insights into their customers, more innovation, more really understand what the data's telling them. And I think that's quite an exciting area that will happen next year.
What is at the top of your client's agenda at the moment?
Change. Fundamentally, it's change at this point. I think the pandemic settled the debate about cloud computing and once and for all, in that it became a question of not if, but when people would actually start to move to the cloud. And we're now seeing organizations who have took that decision quickly and started their migration a couple of years back, starting now to link up the applications that they've got, and then now starting to reap the benefit. We've got one client in particular who's probably 2 to 3 years into their journey in that area. And this year, their theme is what they're calling quantum change. So they have radically changed all the infrastructure. We've built the data platforms for them, which sort of sit on top of all the applications. What was once a single behemoth-style line of business application has now been unbundled, as it were, into multiple best-of-breed applications, with the data platform providing a seamless sort of layer above it where it integrates all the applications together. And now they're in a position where they're looking to actually really leverage those technologies, leverage the sort of the insights that's there. And quantum change is the theme this year. And that's where you can get to. So not all clients are at this point. Some are just starting this journey. But I think that the days of having the big on-premise data centers, I think that's that's completely gone now. And the recognition and the maturing of the cloud technologies is where everyone kind of needs to be. Everyone wants to be now, and that's exciting. So change, that's the big thing this year.
What is on your bucket list?
I don't particularly like that term bucket list, and the reason is I don't like the idea that I've done something once and therefore I won't do it again. And the bucket list seems to imply you tick things off. So I don't like the idea that I've. I know people who, my age who've sort of played their last game of five-a-side, and they say that I'm not doing that again, or I've played my last squash, and they say, why? It's nonsense. It's like,
Depends how much it hurts the next day.
well, I guess so, but at the same time, I don't like the idea that I've ticked something off and it's done. If I'm going to do something and enjoy it, I'll do it again and again and again and again. So I do like to travel, but I do like to see new places. I love to get lost in cities and just on a sort of book and walking tour, wandering around. But I don't really have a bucket list as such.
What are your favourite books?
Favourite books. I'm not a huge reader but I do enjoy the odd book just to get from a story point of view. Graphic novels recently, specifically works of Scott Snyder and a few others. They do the Batman series for DC, and previously I loved reading all stuff to children, so Asterix, Tintin. I used to be able to recite the Gruffalo from start to finish.
Oh wow.
I'm not doing that. Well, a mouse took a stroll through a deep dark wood. I saw a nut, etc., etc., etc. My most precious book is a book I got inscribed from my father. It's actually The House at Pooh Corner. It says, "To John, happy birthday, age 6. Love, Dad."
Cute.
And the cover's falling off, but that sits quite high on a shelf out of the way.
What's the book about?
House at Pooh Corner?
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh.
Oh. Is it Winnie the Pooh? A book from Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah. Winnie
Part
the
of the series?
Yeah, so you got the two books of House at Pooh. So you got, the first one's called Winnie the Pooh, and the second one's called The House at Pooh Corner.
I did not know that.
So they're typically read as a together as one sequence, but they're actually in two parts. So it's the second part is The House at Pooh Corner.
What is one of the best investments you've made in your life so far?
So one of the best investments I've made in my life would be for my children's education. We've always tried to ensure that they are sort of happy, safe, protected, and learning wherever they are, and also happy to sort of encourage them just to explore new ideas and everything.
What is an unusual habit or absurd thing that you love?
Generation 1 Transformers.
Why?
You're going to laugh. Absolutely loved them as a kid. I'm just a kid, basically. I have my mastermind special subject would be Generation 1 Transformers. I can name you all of them. In fact, I don't know why I retain this knowledge. So there's probably much more useful things I could stay in there. So all the cars, Autobot cars, Decepticon planes, Insecticons, Dinobots, special teams, the lot. There you go.
Transformers, did this come out before, was like Transformers a thing before they made the movies? Did they make the movies based on something?
No, well, Transformers is a series of, it's just toys from the 80s.
Oh, okay, so and then they made the movie based on...
So the best Transformers movie is the 86 cartoon one. That is the original Transformers the movie, which is a huge 90-minute toy commercial for the next round of toys that Hasbro wanted to sell. It was traumatizing to kids because they basically killed off everyone in the original and introduced a whole new set of characters. So we all went to the cinemas with our parents, or dragged on. I think my dad fell asleep actually. But to this day, my kids still really love the 86 Transformers cartoon movie. And it has a big cheesy American rock and roll soundtrack to it. But it's brutal. They take out all the ones you love. They all get annihilated in the first 20 minutes. I mean, shot to pieces.
What advice would you give to someone starting out their career?
I would say to someone starting out their career, always, it's all about learning at this point and gaining experiences. So get yourself on as many interesting projects as you can. Don't say no to anything in terms of anything to do with technical, but if you've come out of a degree course or a further education course, ask yourself, what's the next one to do? And I don't necessarily mean that in the technologies, what's a complementary professional skill set that I could do? So for example, I've done a lot of work with banks, and of recent times also do a lot of work with finance systems and accounting packages, and I've got to know accounting terms and over the years. If someone had said to me at the beginning, right, you've done your degree in computing, then now go and do a professional qualification in accountancy. In fact, puts, or maybe not the full thing, but at least go for one of the sort of intermediary qualifications. That would have been so beneficial at the time. So take some time out and just think about something completely different, because you have a complementary skill set which can really, really help you. So I sort of know about accounting now. I'm not an accountant, but I know all the terminology through having built financial reporting systems. Having had that, we did a little bit of accounting at university, but having a full-on qualification, it just aligns perfectly with the computer science as well. And also it means you can understand businesses a lot better as well. So that's fun. But equally, marketing, secretarial, legal, all of these things the computing industry covers all of these items there. So pick one, and then one that interests you. And so do your computing degree and then do something else as well.
It's a lot of studying.
It is, but it's particularly medicine.
Yeah.
It is a lot of studying, but we could continually learn anyway. We have to, because the technologies move. But those sort of areas such as accounting, marketing, legal, they don't stand still in their own areas, but there are fundamentals across them which, if you understand them, you can apply them to the work you're doing with the computer science side, and that in itself is really powerful. Then really it gives you a real sort of real advantage in trying to work with people to understand those terms as well.
But I did a IT course as part of my degree.
Yes, exactly.
But it was pretty short-lived. It was at Scratch, where you built the little kitty cat.
Not quite, same way.
Yeah, and then we had to build this other app. Anyway, it was pretty clear it was not my forte.
Yeah, so my degree was computing and IT, and that was a third computer science, a third maths, and a third business studies. And the business studies area was split into marketing, accountancy, and economics. Yeah. And actually, that I thought was brilliant. It was a really nice sort of breadth of items, and it means yes, didn't have all of the hardware or the sort of machine code programming that you do on a straight computer science degree, and that interests a lot of people. But you've got another sort of complementary skill sets. And the thing which I'd done now was pick one of those three of economics, marketing, or accountancy, and actually developed one of those into a secondary qualification. Yeah. So I think back to my 20s, and I came out of university, went straight into just building. Well, it was really exciting. It was Microsoft.com. Well, as a .com bubble was starting to grow, and we were building websites. So we're building using tools like Microsoft ASP, VB Script and JavaScript and basic SQL around databases. We did some really fun websites. Did MTV's site and a few others, which is really good fun. But then actually, when things got a bit more serious and you start to progress, and especially moving to the data world, so you realise, well, actually, if I understood banking better, if I understood accountancy better, or I understood legal or marketing, that would actually be a much better complementary skill set. So I don't think you need to go and get the technical qualifications immediately. Have a think about the broader ones, I think would be my 2 cents on people coming out of university or finishing whatever course it is. What's the complementary one you can do next?
Yeah, I suppose you also want to look at the foundations, and then you can always learn once you're in the job, the more specifics of like the technology side. Yes.
Yeah, you have to keep learning the technologies, you have to keep up with that. But having the groundings in those other areas is a real advantage for your understanding.